they came.
If it was 64, then I saw them 64, 65.
Yeah, they came. They did Ed Sullivan, and then they did the Hollywood Bowl.
Which was right when you were putting the band together, really.
Well, yeah, and then July 3rd, 65, Dino, Desi, and Billy played the Hollywood Bowl as one of the many opening acts for the headliner, the Beach Boys.
Wow.
Now listen who was on the bill. The Righteous Brothers, the Byrds, the Kinks, Sir Douglas, Sonny and Cher, Ian Whitcomb, Donna Lauren, and Dino, Desi, and Billy. And we played second to closing. It was us, the Kinks, and the Beach Boys. What do you think about that show?
And you were 14?
In 65, I was 14, yeah.
Yeah, wow, incredible.
You know, that's to me is an amazing story, Billy, because here you are, you know, you're seeing all these things going on in the world, and you've got an opportunity of a lifetime. Dino, Desi, and Billy, you know, with the help of people like Lee Hazelwood, and God knows how many other people must have been helping you at the time. And then you got, I think, if I remember right, somebody in your family married a Beach Boy, if I'm not mistaken.
How about my sister, Annie?
Yes.
My sister Annie married Carl, the youngest of the Wilson brothers.
And so you've got all sorts of music connections, power connections that a lot of people were not privy to. How did that take to you? Did that give you a big head, so to speak, or did you just sort of take it in stride?
Or too young to realize it?
I was in awe, really. I mean, I got all of a sudden I'm in a Beach Boys sessions, and I'm listening to things called like Good Vibrations and Wouldn't It Be Nice, and hearing the tracks for God Only Knows, you know, before anybody heard them. This is 66 I'm talking. They were married in 66.
And for some of our listeners who may not be aware, you ended up actually becoming a Beach Boy then and playing those songs.
That's right. I played with the boys 70s, 80s, and 90s, I like to say. And I'm proud to also add that I'm the only musician that's come and gone in this world of the Beach Boys that has played with the Beach Boys. I've toured with Carl Wilson on his solo tour in the 80s. I played with Brian Wilson in 2007 on his solo tour, and I'm currently with Al Jardine as his musical director and tour manager. So that pretty much covers it, don't you think?
Oh man,
my God.
It's really an untold story that needs to be told.
Billy, you know,
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame type story.
You have had an opportunity of a lifetime that I'm telling you, I'm just drooling at what you were doing, and you sound to me like you're very cool, calm, and collected sort of a guy. I've gone online and I've watched a few little videos, interviews with you, and you seem to be very much all together. But I'm really in awe of what you've done. It's just truly to me amazing. Your music, you know, where you've been. It's truly amazing.
You know, Billy, here in Detroit, we've had several Motown stars on as guests. You know, Duke Fakur from the Four Tops and Martha Reeves, and they have similar stories. In that one day they were at home with mom and dad in the kitchen watching TV, and the next day they were on tour at some of the biggest stages, biggest concerts, and hearing their records on big radio stations around the country. And it's just it's kind of shocking for a lot of people to see how fast something like that can happen. From one day being in school to the next day, all the kids in the school having your picture on the cover of the magazine.
But it can go away
Well,
just
it
as
truly
fast.
was a ride. I mean, and it did happen relatively quickly for us, you know. It did, and we were just thrilled at the experience. And Dino and Desi were both really good guys, you know, great friends, and
well, even then, when you're doing that concert at the Hollywood Bowl, and you're getting some respect, you're getting some magazine cover, but still you're 14, 15, 16 years old. You're still a little kid compared to the guys in the Kinks, or even as you got to know some of the Beach Boys, or if the Rolling Stones were to monitor what you were doing when you were covering some of those tunes. You were still a little kid in the clan.
Yeah, it's true. And I went on to become friends with people like Roger McGuinn. Well, he was Jim McGuinn at the time. And the Righteous Brothers. We've remained friends. And I knew Sonny and Cher. I got to know Ray Davies a little bit. And so all those people, Ian Whitcomb, I saw him here in Vegas just the other day. Donald Lauren was at a July last year, autograph convention that we had. And so, yeah, it's a nice community. We're all here. We're all survivors in our way, and I'm proud to be a part of that class, if you will, the class of the 60s.
Yeah, but just think if you knew now, if you knew then what you know now, what could you have done different? What would you have done different as a 16-year-old, pop idol star? Could you have twisted things different? Should you have twisted things, or did it go the way it should? In the end, did it go the way it should have went?
Yeah, I think it went just exactly the way it should. It was really a dream sheet. I mean, all our wishes came true. As young guys and wanting to be in a band, it all came true tenfold.
Lucy Arnaz, maybe the band should have went more TV, kind of like Ricky Nelson.
Well, we used to open for Lucy at her. We used to do what's called a warm-up at her shows when she was doing the Here's Lucy show, and was this the Lucy show? I always get those confused. I think it was the Lucy show. And anyway, but Dean Martin had us on his show quite a number of times, and we're very grateful for that. And Desi and his sister Lucy eventually did go on their mother's show, as you recall, the Here's Lucy show.
Billy, Doctor Doo-Wop again. How much time can you spend with us, by the way, so I don't...
boy, I'm almost coming to the end of the line here. I got a show to attend here in Vegas. I, see a lot of great shows, and I've been invited to, of all things, kind of like a magic show, which Vegas is so varied, but this town loves magic. They love impersonators. They love opera. Isn't that interesting?
Well, I'm very familiar with Vegas. I go there quite a bit. I'm a world-class blackjack player. I'm barred from several casinos out there.
Uh-huh.
So, just in case you ever read about me.
I usually don't lose because I usually don't play.
That makes you a winner.
I sort of
Thank you, yes.
I only have two more questions, Billy Hinsche. If you had to pick somebody who molded your career early on, who would that be?
Well, it would be Carl Wilson, and he helped me so much. And Dennis, I think, is a friend. Really befriended me as older brothers to me.
I find that interesting because your sound...
Yeah, not so much Brian, because Brian was really... he wasn't as accessible as Carl. I was with Carl every day. Carl and my sister every day. And with Dennis, geez, we spent a lot of time, especially out on the road. We'd pal around, and they really taught me a lot about life.
Is the sister a musician?
Is my sister a musician?
Yeah, I mean, she grew up with you, grew up with, married him.
Yeah, she learned piano at a young age. As I said, we had tutors. I said I had a tutor. She's also tutored, musically.
She could have been. She should have been, maybe, huh?
Well, it just wasn't.
I find it interesting that you say that Carl was such an influence, though. When I did some research, because I only know Dino, Desi, and Billy through the stuff I've read in the Beach Boy fan club newsletters. I'll admit that because I'm only going on 40 in September. So I never heard any of your stuff. I went and listened, and it's a lot of it sounded really heavily early British invasion influence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Beach Boys, we start, especially in the later years when we were old men of 17, 18. We started to emulate the Beach Boys more and more in our productions and in our harmonies, and because as I said, I learned a lot from hanging around with those guys. So, but anyway, before I go, I'd like to point everyone in the direction of the carlwilsonfoundation.org is our website address for this upcoming event. www.carlwilsonfoundation.org. If you're in the Grand Rapids area, we're going to be there Saturday, July 16th, doing a golf scramble, and it's going to be at the beautiful Thornapple Point Golf Club in Grand Rapids. Is that anywhere near you guys? Where you guys
Not that far away, Billy Hinsche.
North.
Tell our listeners again, where's that going to be and when?
It's going to be Saturday, July 16th, just around the corner. Looks like 5-6 weeks from now. And it's going to be held at the golf club at Thornapple Point in Grand Rapids. Go to www.carlwilsonfoundation.org, and while you're on the net, go visit my website, billyhinsche.com. I've got this amazing new DVD. You know, I'm a filmmaker.
Can you real quick explain what the Carl Wilson Foundation is about? So that
sure.
I've done my best, but it's hard for me to explain.
We've been talking about it the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
but,
I know you have, and I appreciate it. Well, it's a nonprofit. It's a 501c3 nonprofit, California Public Benefit Corporation, whose mission is to aid those suffering from cancer and to find a cure for the disease and to help those afflicted with it and the quality of life. And we've donated to City of Hope.
It's like I mentioned to people, there's not anybody on this planet that's not going to be touched by cancer in some way.
Exactly.
And I didn't know until I sent Alice a message, Alice Lilly, to ask her if she could send a message to the people in the Beach Boy fan club to let them know about this show. And she told me that she's in remission from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and she says it's really coincidental that Dr. Franklin is a cancer doctor.
Yeah, we call him the Doctor of Doowop, but his real job, he's a hematologist, oncologist, cancer doctor in the daytime.
Yeah.
Billy, the final thing, we're going to let you go. If you had to pick your favorite, maybe I'm putting you on the spot, Dino, Desi, and Billy song, what would that be?
Well, I guess I'm a fool because that's what really got it going for us. That's what started. It was our biggest and best selling song. So I guess it's got to be I'm a Fool. It's the one people identify most with us. So, and if I had a second and third choice, I would say Tell Someone You Love Them, which came out in '68. I wrote that. It was a hit for us, and Nelson Riddle covered it, and then lastly, Lady Love, which I co-wrote with Brian Wilson. So
that's right.
In that sort of in that order, I guess.
Do me one last favor and introduce your song.
We're here every Wednesday, so you ever have some time you want to kill on the radio, you call in any time. You can be a huge part of the show.
Anything you want to promote or anything.
Go ahead and
go visit my website, billyhinsche.com, and you might want to check out the trailers for the Carl Wilson DVD about Carl that I just did. It's 3 hours long. It's amazing. People love it. Called Carl Wilson Here and Now. So, you want me to introduce something?
Introduce your song, I'm a Fool.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Going back to 1965, here's Dino, Desi's, and Billy's big hit, I'm a Fool. And with that, I will say goodbye, and thank you so much for having me as your guest.
Thank you, Billy Hinsche.
See ya.